Welcome into Texans Today. I'm your host, Jeremy Chucks, coming to you right after the 2024 NFL Draft with all of the draft grades for your Houston Texans. I'll be going pick by pick and giving you my grade for all the Texans picks. I know a lot of skepticism. Oh, wow. Really hard word. A lot of critics out there for D'Amico Ryans and Nick Caserio, but I don't think the draft was as bad as a lot of people think. First up, the Texans' first pick in round 2, pick 42, Kamari Lassiter. I give it a grade of a B. You know, I really do think the Texans went out there and they got a corner. They needed to get a corner. They picked a need, and it's a little upsetting because a couple really good corners went off the board right before the Texans picked that 42, which they did bring in Lassiter for the visit. They was somebody that they did have targeted on their board, but Kool-Aid went right before you. The Saints traded up one pick before you. I would have loved for the Texans to get Kool-Aid McKinstry opposite of Derek Stingley, but you can't always get what you want. But Kamari Lassiter, I know a lot of people are focused on. He ran a 4.6. That was one time at the Combine. He ran like a 4.5. I think it was like a 4.55 at his pro day. And we have seen corners that have played really well without a 4.3 speed, 4.4 speed. Xavier Howard being one of them. Richard Sherman being another. There are corners that have played really well without having the blazing 4.3 speed. So Kamari Lassiter, I give that pick a B. Next up, in round 2, pick 59, the Texans, they selected Blake Fisher, offensive tackle from Notre Dame. I give this one a B-, and I know a lot of people were upset because obviously the Texans have two really good starting tackles in Laramie Tunsil and Titus Howard, who, even though he was injured last year, is still a good tackle, in my opinion, starting on the right side. And, you know, at the end of the day, last year, the Texans had so many injuries along the offensive line. They needed depth. They really did. And Blake Fisher, I know he's not a sexy pick, but there was a run off tackles right before Blake Fisher was selected. He's still a good pick. I still like Blake Fisher. He's young, too. He's 21. So he's somebody that you can develop in your program, develop in over time, and maybe have a swing tackle. So God forbid, if something happens to Laramie Tunsil, if something happens to Titus Howard, you have a backup plan, and you're not, scrambling to have somebody protect C.J. Stroud, your number one asset on your team. So anytime they're investing in C.J. Stroud or helping protect C.J. Stroud, I'm okay with it. A little bit early for Fisher. We had a round 3 grade on him, so that's why I'm giving him a B-, but I don't absolutely hate the pick of O-line at pick 59. Now, the next pick, my favorite pick the Texans made, Kalen Bullock, safety from USC. I'm going to give this one an A grade. Now, not a good tackler, but he kind of fits exactly with what the Texans need in the safety room. They have two guys who are great tacklers in the box players, in Jimmy Ward and Jalen Petrie. Kalen Bullock is that guy that's going to play center field for you. He's going to be the guy who's able to, protect against the deep bomb, which the Texans got burned on quite a bit last year. Kalen Bullock, that's why I'm going to give it an A grade. That was my favorite pick. What was your favorite pick, though, from the Texans draft class this year? Let me know down in the comment section what your favorite pick was the Texans made this year. We'll go through every single pick one by one, but I want to know, who was your guy this year the Texans took that you were like, wow, they really knocked that one out of the park? I think it was Kalen Bullock. I really liked the pick of him at the safety position. I know the Texans needed some help at safety. So, Kalen Bullock, that's what I'm going to say was my favorite pick. And I'm guessing if you ask C.J. Stroud, his favorite pick was the Texans picking his buddy, Cade Stover from Ohio State, the tight end. Cade Stover, they picked him with their first pick on day 3 at pick 123. And I'm going to give this one a B grade because I do like the player. I had a really good grade on him. I mean, I had a round 3 grade on him. So, personally, I think the Texans got good value here in Cade Stover. It just wasn't really a need for the Texans. I mean, I think they could have gone out and gotten a linebacker, gotten somebody else with this pick at pick 123. Instead, they go Cade Stover. And I'm going to give it a B. I know people may be a little bit lower. Maybe some people higher. I'm giving it a B only because it makes your quarterback happy. It makes C.J. Stroud happy. And, happy wife, happy life, happy Stroud, happy crowd. So I'm very good with this pick of Cade Stover. Next up, maybe one of my more critical picks, Jamal Hill. And I actually called it right before the Texans drafted Hill because they brought him in for multiple visits. Or I guess they didn't bring him in. They did virtual Zoom visits. They brought him in for multiple, COVID visits, whatever. through Zoom. Round 6, 188, I don't think Hill's a bad player. I just think he's more of a special teams player. And at linebacker, I think you could have gotten a lot better. I think you could have gotten a lot better at linebacker. Jamal Hill, I give it a C+. We'll see. I think he has potential. At worst, I think he is a pretty decent special teams player for you. But we shall see. That's what OTAs, the preseasons, are for. Jamal Hill, go out there and prove me wrong and make the Texans a better team this year. I give it a C+ for now, but we'll have to see how that pans out. I have more grades coming up for you in just a moment, but I couldn't do today's show if it wasn't for our sponsors over at Game Time. Last-second tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Game Time has the best deals on last-second tickets for sporting events, concerts, comedy shows, theater, and more. And you can even check out the seat before you even buy it with Game Time. It is the best ticketing app out there. They have zone deals. They have flash deals where you pick the zone, they pick the seat for up to 18% discounts on those seats, and it is the lowest price guaranteed. If you can find the same ticket for the same event in the same row, same section, for less, Game Time's going to give you a 110% discount. So why not get started? Go check them out today. And we have a great deal for you. When you use code CHATSPORTS, you get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but go down there, use code CHATSPORTS, that's CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Game Time. Last second tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. Next up, the Texans took Jawhar Jordan, running back from Louisville. I'm going to give this one an A grade. He was first team all ACC. I know a lot of people were like, oh, Isaac Guerendo. Jawhar Jordan, when you look at the stats, actually had a better year than Isaac Guerendo. Now, I know Guerendo maybe translates better to the NFL. People are like, oh, well, he can develop better. Jawhar Jordan's a good player right now. I really like the pick of Jordan at pick 205. Really good value there as well. Not mad at it at all. You already have Joe Mixon, so you get a project back in Jordan and just see if he develops and see if he can maybe help you out in the running game a little bit, slotted behind Dameon Pierce. Now, the Texans, they had 3 picks in round 7. The first one being edge rusher from USC, Solomon Byrd. And I have to give it to him. I'm going to give it a C+. I wasn't as high on Byrd. Same thing with Hill. Go out and prove me wrong. Go out and prove me wrong in OTA's preseason that you are him. You are the right pick at 238, and a lot of teams slept on you. But one thing I did find funny, Byrd said, I have a lot of pass rush moves. I have a plethora of pass rush moves. I just need to get good at one of them, which I thought a little bit funny for him to say something like that right after getting drafted. Good sense of humor. I'll always appreciate that. Byrd, a little bit of a reach. I'm not even going to say reach. It's round 7. A little bit of a project player. That's why I'm giving it a C+. I don't see him really helping out the Texans this year, but I guess you really don't need him to help as an edge rusher. You have Danielle Hunter. You have Will Anderson. But maybe he can develop into something. I give it a C+ for now, though. This next one, defensive tackle Marcus Harris out of Auburn. I'm going to give it a B+. I really like the pick of Harris. I think good value in round 7. He was a guy we had a round 5, 6 grade on here at Chat Sports, and I think he can really help you develop into, a rotation guy, maybe fighting for snaps with Kurt Hennish on the inside of that Texans defensive line. I'm going to give it a B+. I like the pick of Marcus Harris, round 7, pick 247. And then the Texans' last pick, Ladarius Henderson from Michigan, the offensive guard. I'm going to give it a B. I like the pick. I mean, it's just one of those guys who you wait and see. Obviously, he was on one of the best offensive lines in the nation over at Michigan, the national champions. So he has a pedigree. He has some talent. Can he develop? Can he translate to the next level? He's going to be somebody who's fighting for a roster spot at the end of the day. I don't know if Henderson makes the roster, but 249, I think it's a pretty good pick. I'm going to give it a B. Now, overall, how would you grade the Texans 2024 NFL Draft? Let me know down in the comment section. Give me an A, B, C, D, or F. I'm going to go ahead and give it a B-. I think it was decent. You got some good players, but also Nick Caserio, known for being really aggressive, kind of was not aggressive in this draft. Could have traded up multiple times to get his guys. Stayed pat. Maybe he didn't want them. Maybe it was all a smoke screen. Maybe he really got his guys and we're all overreacting. But for the time being, I'm going to give it a B- because I think they could have made a little bit more with all the draft capital they had in this year's draft. That's all I have for you right now. If you haven't already, go down and hit that sub button for the fastest growing Texans channel on YouTube here at Texans Today. I'll give you more coverage after the draft, free agents, UDFAs. I'll give you everything you need to know here on the channel. So go down and hit that sub button right now.